Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. High voltage engineering, and today our topic is breakdown in vacuum. Okay, so first of all, what are the standard values for the vacuums? In the vacuum insulation, in the absence of any particle, as in the case of perfect vacuum, there should be no conduction. However, in practice, the presence of metallic electrode and insulating surface within the vacuum at sufficiently high voltage will cause a breakdown. In vacuum system, the pressure is always measured in terms of mmHg, and 1 mmHg is equal to 1 torr, and the standard atmospheric pressure is equal to 760 mmHg at 0 degree Celsius. Okay, so the vacuum may be classified as the high vacuum, the very high vacuum, the ultra high vacuum, and there are the different ranges for these vacuums. For high vacuum, it ranges from 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 to 1 into 10 to the power minus 6 torr. And for the high vacuum, the pressure goes high, 1 into 10 to the power minus 6 to 1 into 10 to the power minus 8. And ultra high vacuum, uh, 10 the pressure is much reduced, sorry, in order to get the high vacuum. So for the ultra high, the vacuum, the pressure is reduced to 10 raised to the power minus 9 torr and below. So although the practical is not possible to get the ideal vacuum. So these are the few standard values for the vacuum, and vacuum can be acts as a good insulating material in circuit breakers and in many other applications. Okay, so uh, then how a breakdown can occur in the vacuum? In a high vacuum, an electron crosses the gap without encountering any collision. Therefore, the current growth prior to breakdown cannot be due to the formation of the electron avalanche. However, if a gas is liberated in the vacuum gap, then the breakdown can occur by the Townsend process. And three mechanisms may be involved in the breakdown of vacuum. The one is the particle exchange mechanism, the other is field emission mechanism, the third one is clump theory. Okay, so we will discuss these theories one by one. Uh, okay, so what is a particle exchange mechanism? As the name reveals that there is a particle exchange between the anode and the cathode electrodes. So when one electron hits the oppositely charged electrode, it knock out the electron from that electrode as well by a collision with the electrode. As there is a very less number of particles inside the tube, so the collision, the chance of collision is almost zero. So the only way to get ionization or the breakdown is to strike the particles, the charge carriers, to the electrodes. Okay, so a charged particle would be emitted from one electrode under the action of high electric field, and when it impinges on the other electrode, it liberates a positively charged particle. We will discuss it by this figure. These are the photons, and these are the positive ions, and these are the black balls are the electrons, the white are the positive and the photons. Okay, so when these electron hits the anode and it has enough kinetic energy to knock out the charges from this anode, so it strike the anode and releases the photon as well as the positive ions. But now these photons and positive ions move towards the oppositively charged uh, plate, that is the cathode, and it strikes the cathode with such energy, with such an energy to knock out the electron from these cathode as well. So now these electron will be called as the secondary electrons. So if this process is become cumulative, so by this way, and the breakdown occurs, the particles are accelerated by the applied voltage, means to get enough kinetic energy back to the first electrode, where they released more of the original type of particles. When this process becomes cumulative, a chain reaction occurs which leads to the breakdown of the gap. The particle exchange mechanism involves the electrons, the positive ions, the photons, and the absorbed gases at the electrode surface. So there is a condition for the breakdown. The condition is A plus B, AB plus CD when becomes greater than 1. So we can see that the breakdown will occur. Okay, so what is A, B, C, and D? A are the release positive ions at the anode. B are the liberated electrons from the impact of each positive ions. Okay, and C are the photons, and D are again the electrons which are released from the impact of each photons. A, so B and D both are the electrons, but B are the electrons by the result of positive ions, and D are the electrons produces from the photons impact. Okay, and C are the photons and A are the released positive ions. This is the second mechanism, and this is actually the heating mechanism. Okay, the heat may occur at the anode or may occur at the cathode. If the heating mechanism occurs at the anode, so it will be anode heating mechanism. And if this the same heating mechanism occurs at the cathode side, so it will be a cathode heating mechanism. Okay, actually when the particles, for example the anodes, strike electrons strike the anode, okay, with the hit, so by hitting, a heat will be produced. Okay, so this heat will actually causes the thermal ionization process, as we have studied it in the energy process, that for the ionization different agencies can be used. It may be the light, it may be the heat, it may be the collision. But this time they are talking about this theory is talking about the heat mechanism. When these electrons hit the anode and produces the heat at the surface of the anode, so this heat, if this heat is enough that it can causes the ejection of electrons from the anode, so we can say that the thermal ionization will be occur. And if the same process occur on the cathode side, now this was at the anode side, and if the same process occur at the cathode, the hitting of the positive ions with the cathode with speed and causes a heating effect at the cathode surface, because the heating causes the heating effect. And now if the thermal ionization conditions are fulfilled, then the ionization will occur from the cathode material. And the third one is the clump mechanism. Basically, this theory has been developed on the following assumption, that as some loose particles are exist on the surface electrode. If the loosely bonded particles are not available on the surface of the electrode, then this theory will not be applicable at all. Okay, so the mechanism is the assumption is that we have a loosely bonded particles exist on any of the electrode. It may be either on the cathode side or maybe on the anode side. But in this example, they have taken the clump on the cathode side. These are actually the particles that are just uh, placed on the surface of the cathode, and it can easily be removed when the electrode are the voltage is applied across these electrodes. Okay, so a loosely a clump are actually a loosely bound particles exist on one of the electrode surface. This particle get charged when high voltage is applied and get detached. This become detached from the mother electrode, means that electrode where it was present originally, detached from the mother electrode and is accelerated across the gap. It accelerated across the gap. We can have a demonstration. This is actually the clump, the loosely bounded particle, and cathode acts as a mother electrode for this clump. So when the voltage is applied, so it get charged and detached from this mother electrode and moving towards the anode. Looks, these are detached. Okay, leaving uh, some hole and cavity over there because of this detachment. Okay, so these electrons move, these clumps moves towards the anode. Okay, and causes what the ionization on this anode side. Okay, this is actually the loosely, when these are detached, it become like this. And after this, um, impact of the clump on the anode gives out a cloud of metal vapors, and this is actually the cause of the ionization. So these particles get charged when high voltage is applied and get detached from the mother electrodes and is accelerated across the gap. The breakdown occurs due to a discharge in a vapor or gas released by the impact at the target electrode. The one is the mother electrode, and the electrode towards which these clumps are moving, these are actually the target electrode. So in this example, the cathode acts as a mother electrode and anode acts as a target. These clumps detached from this mother electrode and moving towards the anode, and by hitting the electron, the some ionization will occur from the anode. Okay, and remember, this theory will only be applicable if there is a loosely bonded particle exist on the surface of the electrodes, and if these are not exist, so this theory will not be applicable. So once again, we have the vacuum insulation. Okay, so vacuum is actually ideal vacuum is not possible, and does not actually practically exist. So we have some ranges for the vacuum: the high vacuum, the very high vacuum, and the ultra high vacuum. Okay, and then we have the theories. The very simple. The first is related to the collision of the electrons and the protons on the oppositively charged plates. Means electrons are negatively charged bodies, so it will strike the anode, while the protons are the positively charged, so it will strike the cathode to release the electrons. Look, these are actually the, the 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 release of electrons from the cathode by the impact of these positive ions and the photons. And the second theory is related to the heating mechanism. Okay, so when these electrons hit the anode, or we can say that the proton hits the cathode. So in either case, the heat will produce after this hitting, and a thermal ionization will occur. So by this way, a breakdown can occur. And the third theory is actually about the clump theory, that clumps are the loosely bounded particles exist on the mother electrode. It gets detached when voltage is applied, and it moves towards the target electrode, and um, hitting this target electrode with such an energy to knock out the electron from these particles, from these electrodes as well. So by this way a breakdown can occur. So if you have any question, so you can ask.
हेलो सर।
Yes.
सर स्टार्ट के स्लाइड में आपने स्पेस या वैक्यूम के सर डिफरेंट टाइप्स आपने बता दिए हैं।
हाँ हाँ।
तो वैक्यूम की सर टाइप्स तो हमारे पास एक ही है वैक्यूम हो। तो ये
हम्म,
डिफरेंट टाइप सर अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रेशर है कि हम जितना मतलब प्रेशर प्रोवाइड कर देते हैं इससे इसकी मतलब किस्म भी चेंज टाइप भी चेंज होती है।
बिल्कुल। हाँ, ये देखिए, असल में वैक्यूम किसे कहते हैं, आप किसी भी कंटेनर में से हवा को निकालते जाएं तो हवा निकलती जाएगी, और वे हम यूँ कहेंगे कि खला बढ़ती जा रही है, हवा निकल रही
जी।
है और खला बढ़ती जा रही है, ठीक है। तो अगर बिल्कुल कंप्लीटली हम इससे एक पार्टिकल भी अंदर गैस का ना रहे, तब इसको हम कहेंगे कि दिस इज एन आइडियल वैक्यूम। सही है। मगर इससे आपको पता है कि
जी।
वो जो कंटेनर है वो कोलैप्स हो सकता है, यानी अगर हम शीशे में
हाँ सर बिल्कुल।
डिस्चार्ज ट्यूब में अगर हम वैक्यूम प्रोड्यूस करेंगे और उससे हवा निकालते जाएंगे, ठीक है, तो वो तो कोलैप्स हो जाएगा। तो
हाँ सर
प्रैक्टिकली,
बिल्कुल।
हाँ प्रैक्टिकली हम इसको वो प्रेशर यानी बिल्कुल सारे पार्टिकल्स नहीं निकाल सकते, तो हमने इस तरह किया कि हमने ये कहा कि हम कुछ कुछ ना कुछ प्रेशर तो जाहिर बात है अंदर रहेगा, तो हम इसको फिर प्रेशर वाइज हम इसको कैटेगराइज कर लेंगे कि अगर
जी जी।
प्रेशर 10⁻³ यानी 0.001 टॉर से लेकर 10⁻⁶ टॉर तक इस रेंज में है, तो फिर हम इसको हाई वैक्यूम कहेंगे। फिर अगर और भी हम कम करते हैं तो फिर वेरी हाई, अगर और भी कम किया तो फिर हम अल्ट्रा हाई वैक्यूम। तो ऑन द
ठीक है
बेसिस
सर।
ऑफ, जिस तरह आपने
ठीक।
पूछा, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रेशर हमने इसको वो कहते हैं। टॉर जो है वो प्रेशर का बहुत ही स्मॉल यूनिट है,
हाँ
और
सर।
जो है 1 mmHg के बराबर है। mmHg के
ठीक है
बारे
सर।
में शायद आप लोगों को पता हो, Hg तो मरकरी का
हाँ
है। तो हम ये
हाँ।
एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर में यानी Hg क्यों लेते हैं, ये आपको पता है? तो जो
इसका सर
जी,
कंफर्म तो पता नहीं, लेकिन सर जिस बैरोमीटर हम यूज करते हैं सर शायद इसमें एम जी इस्तेमाल हो सर।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही, आपने सही कहा।
हाँ
बैरोमीटर, हाँ बैरोमीटर जब हम यूज करते थे, ठीक है, हमने जो यानी सबसे पहले जो एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ था प्रेशर, एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर को मेजर करने के लिए, तो उन्होंने मरकरी को ही यूज किया था, ठीक है। और मरकरी में इस
जी।
तरह किया था, इन्होंने पहले जो है यानी इस तरह ट्यूब लिया, सिलेंडर लिया, सही है, इसमें मरकरी भर दी, फिर उसको इस तरह उल्टा रख दिया, ठीक है, और कंटेनर में इस तरह, सही है। अब क्या है कि हम एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर को मेजर करना चाहते थे कि एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर कितना है, तो इस पे दो इफेक्ट्स अभी वो हो यानी अप्लाई होंगी। एक ग्रेविटी का है, ग्रेविटी की वजह से ग्रेविटी ये कोशिश करेगा कि मरकरी नीचे आ जाए, मरकरी का लेवल नीचे आ जाए, और यहाँ से
जी।
एटमॉस्फेयर का प्रेशर है जो कि इसको नीचे आने नहीं देता, बल्कि वापस ऊपर इसको धकेलने की कोशिश करता है। तो जब तक इनकी
सही।
लड़ाई चलती रहेगी, जो ज़्यादा होगा उसका जो है बढ़ जाएगा। तो आखिरकार इस तरह है कि एक लेवल पे ग्रेविटी और एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर दोनों बराबर हो गए, तो हम अब ये कहते हैं कि इस ये मरकरी जितनी लेवल तक आ गई है, हम इसको कहते हैं कि
जी
ये
जी।
अब एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर है, क्योंकि इस वक्त ग्रेविटी और एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर दोनों बैलेंस हो गए। तो वो कितने
हाँ
तक नीचे
बैलेंस।
आया था, वो 760 mmHg तक आ गया था, ये
हाँ बिल्कुल
760
सर।
mmHg तक, ठीक है। ये मिलीमीटर, इतने मिलीमीटर 760 मिलीमीटर तक आ गया, और मरकरी हम ने इसलिए यूज किया कि इसमें एडहेसिव फोर्सेस ना होने के बराबर है, यानी आपको
ठीक है
पता
सर।
है कि जो थर्मामीटर है उसमें भी मरकरी यूज करते हैं
हाँ
ताकि वो टेम्परेचर ऊपर और नीचे, अगर हम फॉर एग्जांपल इसमें वाटर यूज करते हैं तो उसकी एडहेसिव फोर्सेस है।
हाँ तो उसकी विस्कासिटी हाँ बिल्कुल सर।
हाँ बिल्कुल, तो उस वजह से जो है, यानी फिर कुछ ड्रॉप्स ऊपर रह जाते, कुछ नीचे आ जाती, फिर तो रीडिंग सारी थर्मोमीटर की गलत हो जाती कि हमें सही टेम्परेचर का अंदाजा ना होता। तो मरकरी में ये है कि ये उसकी दीवारों के साथ चिपकती नहीं है, कि जिस कंटेनर में मीट आप डालें उसकी दीवारों के साथ नहीं। अगर आप देखिए पानी पी रहे हैं, गिलास अगर आप पूरा खाली भी कर दें और इसको बिल्कुल उल्टा भी करें, तब भी ड्रॉपलेट्स होते हैं जो कि गिलास के साथ चिपके हुए होते हैं, जो कि उससे यानी ग्रेविटी की वजह से नीचे भी नहीं आते। तो वो क्यों? क्योंकि उनके आपस में कंटेनर और वाटर ड्रॉपलेट्स के आपस में एडहेसिव फोर्सेस हैं जो कि इसको अलाउ नहीं कर रहे कि वो नीचे आ जाते। इस वजह से हम यानी हमने मरकरी यूज़ किया था। ठीक है। मतलब